trouble getting your offer accepted in Cape Coral, Florida? Well, then this video is for you. Today, we're going to discuss how to get your offer accepted in the Cape Coral market.
Excellent. I've actually had a lot of buyers asking me this. What do you think are one of the best ways to get your offer accepted right now?
One of the best ways is that you can look for a home that's been on the market for an extended period of time. This way, the seller is going to be more motivated to want to make a deal. They're going to be having the property on the market for that longer period of time. Maybe it's been listed for 150, 140, 130 days. They're going to want to get out of that property. They're going to want to sell it, get their money, and cash out.
That's a really good tip. One thing that I would add to that is versus a brand new on the market property, they are probably getting a lot of eyeballs on that right away, right? So you have more competition than you would on one that's maybe been on the market a little longer.
Yeah. Well, so what are some different ways that you can negotiate some favorable terms for yourself, but also get your offer accepted on your property?
That's a really good question. Really what I found is that it's important to have the right agent working for you so that they can find out from the listing agent and seller what's most important to that seller. Sometimes it's time frame, but you may think a quick closing is what everyone's looking for, and sometimes it's actually a longer closing or even a lease back. So it might not just be a purchase price, it might be more about terms.
Okay, and speaking of terms, what are some different contingencies and things that you can maybe void off a contract or, do a little shorter period on certain things to be able to get your offer accepted?
So you could always shorten your inspection period or your financing contingency if you do have one. You could also, if you have the ability to make a cash offer, that's going to set yours apart as well. And what if something like, for instance, this property that we're standing in now is being sold completely turnkey furnished? That is great for the buyer, but also it's convenient for the seller. They don't have to worry about selling or moving everything.
So then what kind of things, you spoke about having your agent, having a good agent work for you. What kind of things can that agent do to help get your offer accepted with the seller?
So really, I think it comes down to relationships. And when you work with agents that not only have a lot of experience in the market, but have a lot of networking as well, where they've done business with these agents multiple times, they know they're professional, they know they're going to get them to the closing table, your offer has a higher chance of getting accepted in those situations versus an agent they've never heard of, or they don't have the experience or relationship with the other agent. They don't know, is this going to go to closing or not?
Okay, so let's say that you do find a good agent, you find a property that's maybe been on the market for a while and you want to negotiate some favorable terms. What are some things that you can do? I mean, maybe you're getting a mortgage, maybe you want to have, a rate buy down or some closing cost credits, things like that. Obviously, if you're in cash, you're not going to have those things. Maybe you negotiate the price, but what are some things that you can do to get preferable terms for yourself if the property's been on the market for a while?
So one thing to consider is going back to what's most important to your seller. And let's say you really want to have a rate buy down because, interest rates are crunching close to 8% or whatever. And it'd really help you if you could get it closer to 5 or 6%. You can ask for a buy down, and then maybe you ask for that rate buy down, so it's costing them a little bit of money towards your closing cost to get that, but they're getting a longer closing because they need 2 or 3 months to get where they're going. Or maybe they need a quicker closing and you've talked to the lender and your lender says, look, we can close within 20 days. You can say, listen, we can close fast if you can, help me out with some of this.
Okay, so it's all about finding that middle ground of what the seller's wanting and what the buyer's wanting. So if, you're going to offer some terms that are going to be favorable for you, you also want to find a way that it's going to be favorable for the seller, whether it's they want their money quick and a quick closing, or they want to stay in the property for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the people ultimately. I know that we sell houses and it is about the property, but it's also about the individual. So there's a buyer and a seller in the transaction, and being able to make both feel good about the deal is going to have everybody feeling good and wanting it to get to closing and not fighting amongst each other. So anything that we can do to say, hey, listen, we want to make the seller happy, and obviously we're wanting you to be happy and to get the best deal, but bringing both parties together is really going to set us up for a win-win scenario.
Awesome. And so we previously touched about little contingencies, as you had said, financing, appraisal, inspection period contingencies, things like that. If you're looking for a quick close, we obviously want to go a shorter inspection period, shorter financing period, and shorter appraisal inspection period to make sure that that's something that the seller wants to do. And if we're looking for a longer close, if the seller wants some more time in the property, maybe you would even offer a lease back. Maybe you would let them stay past closing. Maybe you would extend your closing out, have 15-day inspection period instead of a 7-day. Maybe you would have a 45-day financing contingency instead of a 30-day. And then, appraisal is obviously going to be done right before closing to make sure that that property is worth what you're paying for it.
Absolutely. But we have the experience, and there's even more. I mean, we could stand here for 8 more hours in this video, which we don't want to do, and you probably don't want to listen to. But there are so many skills in negotiation that we have that, depending on the property, the specific area, different things like that, we can definitely help you, strategize your offer so that it will get accepted, because we don't want you overpaying. We don't want you to be unhappy. We want you to get the best deal possible. So Brayden, what do you think would be some of the top skills that you're bringing to the table for this buyer to make sure that they feel like they're going to get the best transaction possible by working with you?
So ultimately, like we had kind of previously touched on, it's going to be about finding that middle ground between the buyer and seller. That's going to be working for both parties, figuring out those terms that are going to be applicable to you. One of the things that I have, which sets me apart from many of the other agents, is I am a third-generation realtor. We have over 50 years of experience combined in our family between my mom and my grandma, who is also a real estate agent since the 80s, 90s, something
the
like
early
that.
80s.
The early 80s.
Yeah.
So all of us combined are over 50 years of experience. I also am an actively competing mixed martial artist, so I learned discipline, a will to win, consistency, all of these things that I bring over into my real estate career, making sure that I'm constantly pressing to work for whatever party that I'm representing, whether that's the buyer or the seller, and making sure that we get the terms that are most favorable to us. Just, that discipline of following up, that discipline of consistently doing the same things. And then also, like I had touched on, that will to win, making sure that, ultimately we get what satisfies you, and we're not just putting out offers to put out offers. We want to make sure that you're going to be happy in whatever property that you purchase.
Absolutely. For myself as the broker here at Florida Future Realty, I've obviously witnessed and handheld tons of agents that have worked with the company throughout the years, and so I've seen so many things. I've seen what works, what doesn't work, and a lot of times, someone will come up with something and it could be new and we'll try it, or it could be something that I'm like, that isn't going to work, but what about this? And sometimes it's a tiny little tweak that sets us apart from another offer that is, up for running on that property.
Well, awesome. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our video for today. I appreciate you all watching our top tips to get your offer accepted in Cape Coral, Florida. If you guys have any questions or want to reach out, we can be reached at...
You can go on our website at whycapecoral.com, or you can give us a call
at 239-542-8521.
Absolutely. We hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you for watching, and make sure that you follow the channel for more content just like this weekly.